Is patriotism taught, inborn? Where do we get patriotism to begin thinking that God didn't make a mistake to place us where we are? Though we have to cooperate with other youth, other people from other parts, because we all coexist on this planet. How do a person get that patriotic spirit?
That's a very good question. I would start by saying I'm not sure that's inborn or it's something that is developed. I think it depends on what period of history. Because if you would ask the French Revolutionists if it was inborn, if it was created out of necessity, they would give you their version. And if you would ask Jewish Israelis 72 years ago if it was inborn or created out of necessity, you would have another answer. So I think it depends completely on the space and the time of history in which we are in now. And I think in the past 10 years, there's been a huge shift in terms of patriotism itself. I wouldn't want to choose one over the other, but I do want to say that there are many things that influence that, and one of that is the identity factor. Many times, and I would use myself as an example because I know myself best. Many times I get coached and I get what yourself more of. And I love those kind of questions because I love to be controversial and say, I don't consider myself one over the other. My identity is of both. I'm both a Nigerian, both an Israeli. I'm both African and Jewish, Christian and Jewish. And this is my choice to identify as that. But I think identity, especially in the last 10 years, has become in everything, especially with the youth. And that is one of the things that it eventually creates the patriotism have or don't have per nation. That would be to that.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked that question back in 1500, 1400, 1600, Africans were taken to be slaves. But today, what Africans are doing, they are selling the inheritance to shift to those countries where their grandparents were taken as slaves on chain. But these ones are selling, putting together the money, go maybe to Australia, to Europe, or to US, leaving nothing behind. And then getting there, struggling again. Yet they have sold the land that was left to them by the people who did not even get the opportunity which the millennials have. People who did not get the exposure of education. And the people who are educated today are selling everything and they go there. That's why I asked that, where do we find patriotism? Is it inborn? Because people are like, for you are a Nigerian, people in Africa to put on the bandana that has the US flag, to put it on the car or on the bike, is the odd. Somebody's too big because he has that flag waving on the bike or on the car. In our churches, you may fail to find the flag of your nation, but you find the flags of all the world. So meaning that even pastors, even millennials, they seem not to understand the importance of the motherland. They seem not to defend what God gave them for free. We have a good climate in Africa. I heard Brother Rami talking about the scarce of water. In Uganda, we have the source of the river Nile. But again, people who are at the Nile basins are selling the land to go to Europe. And since this program is broad, that's why I wanted to know, how do you advise? What's your take on it? Is it to be taught by the parents? Should we have a special coaching and a lesson? Should it be done by the government? How could we put that sense in the millennials that they belong to where they think it's bad until they make that place a good place? What do we do? What can we do? To both of you, and one of you give us the answer for that.
Well, Pastor Mujingo, I'm brought that up. It's actually a very painful subject, truth be said. Everything in what you're saying, which you have so much potential, in people who live their countries for what they believe and they are being told and they see as a better opportunity. And this is something that has been going on for the last years. But again, because I also, like I said, I like to look at positivity. And I would like to refer to Ghana and to what Ghana is doing, and to use Ghana as a form of example for how much initiative they're taking to bring back people, Ghanaians, who've made this move abroad. I'm sure you're aware that most and a lot of the slave trade who passed through Africa were from the Ghanaian and from the coast. And there is so much of, like I said, it all goes back to identity. But in the end, what I've realized and what I see a lot of going on, especially in West Africa, is people are grabbing onto what they know as themselves. And even if they're abroad, right, and they're far away from their country, they're trying to build that culture and to retain it. I will give you a small joke that I hear a lot of people who I come across, especially American Jews. And they say to me, when I'm in America, they call me the Jew. And when I'm in Israel, they call me the American. Right? So, it's this struggle of where you're supposed to fit. But it is a painful subject because, like you said, this is a land which is so blessed. And there's so many, Africa in general is just really blessed. And it is unfortunate that this is the situation. I do see it changing. And I see it changing because the individuals wanted to change. As to your question as how can this be developed, I think it comes from a very young age. Reinforcing your child's character, reinforcing their identity, telling them no matter where you are in the world, don't forget where you came from. This is your home, this is your land. You cannot stop people from wanting to try to live a better life, get better opportunities.
Yeah.
But you can open their eyes out to the fact that they can make a difference, they can do something different. And it is a challenge because there are things that are hindrances, even in Israel. I mean, again, Rami spoke about it, where you have a lot of young Israelis who, straight after their army service, move to these states, search for a better opportunity, even though it's considered very poor in the world. People always want better in general. But I think if you give the proper incentives, and this is where the government does come in, if the proper incentives are given, investment, that helps. That definitely does something.